Hello, my friends, and welcome back to another episode of Tales from the Dark Roast, the podcast all about dark coffee and darker conversations. I'm your host, Mortimer James, and today we're going to be talking about possibly one of my favorite subjects, and I'm really excited to finally have somebody come on and talk about their experiences with it. We're going to be talking about UFO sightings. Now, just to get it out there, UFO sightings doesn't mean aliens per se, it just means something in the sky that we can't identify. Um, so, without further ado, I'm going to introduce a family member of mine. Welcome to the show, Jacob.
Hi, thanks for having me on.
Hey, man, thanks for coming on. I know a lot of people feel weird about the UFO subject and topic and won't always come out and say they've seen stuff. So, it's cool to have you on to talk about it.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here. I always enjoy talking about it. It's not, I can't say for sure what it is, but I know that I saw something weird and other people saw it, so I didn't just like imagine it or I'm not crazy. So there's always like a sense of relief when other people saw it too.
Yeah, absolutely. I know my mom actually had an experience with a UFO when she was younger, I think in like her early teens. Um and she'll talk about it occasionally, but there was no one there to back her up and say that they saw it too. So I know she got a lot of grief from her family for the longest time about it. So um you having someone to corroborate the story is really cool.
Yeah, exactly. It actually, ironically, my mom's the last person to believe in that, but all the experiences started with her actually, and all of us not believing her.
Oh, wow. Well, I guess we should go ahead and get into it. So this happened back in your hometown. You said it was West Concord in Minnesota.
Yep, in 2008.
Okay. About how old were you around that time?
I was 14.
Okay. So old enough to tell the difference between like a plane and like, just
Yeah,
something else.
definitely.
Gotcha. So
Yeah, so
get into your story, man. What happened?
I want to say it started in May. It was getting close to summer break, and my mom had told us that she saw a UFO, but it wasn't like a normal UFO story. It was a really strange description of a UFO. It was like a snake, but it was made out of like little balls of light that were like linked together. And we're like, okay, that's a load. None of us believed her. We thought she wanted to, get attention or, give us a fun story or something. She always made up stories like for fun. And we were sitting down watching the news and we started seeing video footage of what she described and other people that had seen it. So it ended up becoming a news story. So we're like, holy crap. Maybe there's actually more to it than that. And then
So
for some reason, that summer just became themed around UFOs. And you could call it hysteria, but they were very spaced apart. It wasn't like the whole entire summer was like every week, but it was strange. We were seeing UFO sightings that summer, no other summer, none before that, and none after that.
so you said this actually ended up on the news, like somebody actually caught footage of
Yeah.
it.
Not her exact sighting in the exact town, but it was somewhere else. I think like in South America.
Oh, but it was exactly what she had seen with
Yeah, it was
the
the
multiple
exact
lights.
description, and there was video of it, and I was like flabbergasted because usually when you hear about UFO, it's a disc, a beam of light, a pyramid. You hear all these different shapes, but no one has ever told me they saw a UFO that looked like a snake. And then I actually saw it in the video, so I was like, wow, that's kind of weird. And at the time, I wasn't closed-minded, but I wasn't like going to just open up to any old story I heard.
Right. You weren't just gonna go wholehearted into it, and you were gonna,
Yeah,
kind
and
of hit it
it's
with a
scary.
little skepticism.
You don't want there to be like UFOs in your town. That's like bad news. I grew up watching all these scary alien movies like Fire in the Sky and playing games like, this that one game where you play as the alien, you kill all the people. So it's like the last thing you want is for there to be like alien activity.
Yeah.
So it
No,
started with that.
Fire in the Sky ruined me as a child, by the way. So
Yeah, I've been trying to get other people to watch it, and they're like, you know, they don't think it looks scary or they think it looks cheesy. Like, no, it's probably one of the scariest movies you'll watch.
Absolutely, especially that scene when he first wakes up and like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, no, I can't even talk about it, dude. Like, it legit scarred me, especially after hearing my mom's story of what she saw and then growing up watching that and being addicted to the X Files. Yeah.
So I think it was probably June or July when I started seeing things. And it was weird because none of them were like, it's not like I saw an alien up close. They were just weird. The sightings I saw were weird at best. So
Oh,
we had this back room to our house. It was linked to the garage. We used it as a room, like a bedroom. We would like take turns using it as our bedroom because it was like the largest room in the house. So, I think it was my turn. I decided to stay in that room for like the summer. And then like half the summer. The first half was my mom. And she was saying that she was seeing a flash of light, kind of like a camera flash, right?
okay.
But it like those old fashioned cameras where the light bulb would explode, but it would like engulf the whole back of the house apparently, like the whole alley. It was just bright flash white light. And it would always happen like at 3 a.m. And I kind of thought that she was kind of branching off of her other story because it went well. And maybe she just wanted to, see if she can get us to believe this.
Maybe scare
And I
you a little
wanted,
bit too.
yeah, yeah, she liked doing that. And then I stayed in the room from July onward, and it happened to me once. I thought it was headlights. And I went out there to see, who the hell is flashing their brights through my window. And, they went away. Like I thought they turned their lights off. And I got kind of mad. I opened the door to see who was there, and there was nobody there. And then, a couple weeks later, it happened again. And I noticed this guy was actually wide awake. It was actually a flash. I was kind of waking up as the light was going away last time. So it's like this flash, like someone's taking a picture with like the biggest camera in the world of just the back of our house.
And how
And
long, like when you say a flash, was it like flash and then done, or did it stay on longer, or how long
it
was it
would
there?
like it would get bright. So it would probably take like maybe 3/4 of a second to get to its brightest, and then it would just like flash, like get even brighter, and then it would immediately shut off, kind of like a camera. But it's like a camera that revs up the light. But it
Okay.
would happen in 2 seconds, but it would kind of feel like a long 2 seconds for some reason.
Now,
And
did
I
it
didn't hit
flash more than
anything.
once, or was it like were
No,
there multiple flashes? Okay.
just one big like it go up, flash, and then it'd go away immediately. And it happened one more time, and this time I opened the door, and the light was gone, but I noticed it was like still kind of bright towards the sky. So I was like, the flash was gone, but there was still like maybe my eyes were kind of like hurt by the light, but it looked like the sky was kind of like a lighter tint of blue. Our summers in Minnesota, the sky will be like actually look like a daytime sky with clouds in it at night sometimes.
Really?
And
Just because of the
yeah,
way.
yeah, it doesn't happen all the time. I'm not really big on the weather or understanding it, but I know like sometimes, our nights will look like our days, but dark, it'll just be clouds. But it was like a patch of clouds that was just brighter than normal. And I don't know if it's because the flash hurt my eyes or it made me think maybe the damn flash came from the sky.
Okay. So you were looking, you were actually looking skyward, seeing what you could
Yeah, because
seeing
I
what
was
you
trying
could
to
see.
see, because at this point I was paranoid. I was like, man, there is like I'm gonna get taken by aliens or something. I was kind of getting freaked out.
I don't blame you. I would have been too.
And none of the things that I saw that summer seemed like they were linked. It didn't seem like they were like a pattern of like one. It was just randomness. Um, the third one, we were coming home from the mall. We have like this really humongous mall, but you have to go all the way to the capital, like St. Paul, to see it. It's like an hour and a half away.
Okay.
And then we take like the back road. We have interstates, right? So we're driving down the interstate, and my brother's like asleep. And I wake him up. I like shake him. I slap him. I was like, "Get up," because we're in the back seat, and there's this green orb-looking light just moving in a circle, kind of like the Windows loading screen, right?
Okay.
It's moving in a circle. And I woke him up, and we watched it go in a little circle in the sky for like at least 5 or 6 minutes, like a while, long enough to like fully understand, hey, we're looking at a green orb that is going in circles. Almost like it's not like following our car. It looks like it is, but it's very far away. So it's kind of like looking at the sun, right?
Yeah, like it's something up in the sky that's so far away. It seems like it's tracking you, but really you're just so far away the distance doesn't matter.
Yeah, and it's just going in a circle. And eventually it just shoots up and turns into like this thin yellow strip, like a line. And then it just disappears.
Wow. So who else was in the car besides you and your brother?
My brother and my parents, my mom, my dad. I got my mom to look at it. And my mom, being a really religious person, started praying, you know. And my dad's like, that's sunlight, whatever. My dad's driving, he doesn't care.
So he just blew it off as a reflection or some trick of the
Yeah, he
light and
doesn't
didn't
care.
care.
I feel like my dad could see aliens in person and he would not care.
Yeah. Well, that's just a kid in a suit. Not a big deal. Move along. That sort of
Yeah.
thing.
Now, the last sighting we had was August. I remember this very, very distinctly because it wasn't a sighting. It was actually audible. It was just audio. It was really weird. I was in the car making a phone call. We had like really terrible signal. I had to go all the way into the car in the front yard just to like make a phone call on the cell phone. And I remember hearing like a bump. Like I thought we had this like town center thing people would rent out for parties. It was probably like 2 p.m. I was like, who's having a party that's like bass boosted in the middle of the day? And we just hear bass. And I get on my bike and I go over there and I come back and nobody was at that thing. It was empty. It was off. So there was no party going on. It's a small town. I can go like 2 blocks and see most of the town already.
Gotcha.
So I get back in the car, it gets louder. And, I come out of the car. And by the time I come out of the car to look around, I notice everyone's just coming out of their houses. Everyone hears it.
Oh, so it wasn't just like your family that heard it. It was
No,
everyone in
everyone
the
was coming
town.
out of their houses. It was like a rumbling. We thought there was like a dang earthquake. And it got really weird. It sounded like it was directly above us, and then it turned into like a heartbeat. Like it literally sounded exactly like a human heartbeat, like pumping and pulsing. And my brother's like, it's bass, someone's gonna be listening to music. Like, no one's listening to music. We went around, we went to the thing that people rent out for parties. It's 2 p.m., like on a Thursday in August,
Wow.
and everyone's out of their houses trying to figure out what it is. And it went on for like an hour. And it literally sounded, I can't make this up, it sounded just like a human heartbeat, like when you put your head on someone's chest and listen. It was loud. It sounded like it was directly above us. It didn't sound like it was coming from the distance or anything. It was just everywhere. And everyone was out to like try to figure out what it was because everybody was hearing it. I swear, I looked down the road, I looked across to the other roads, and people were coming out of their houses. And, people were talking about it for like the next 2 weeks.
Wow. Do you know if anyone got a recording of it?
I don't know. I mean, not that I could, I think I might have asked. I was kind of surprised that, since this town had nothing going on, I'm surprised they didn't try to make like a news story out of it. But it was just weird. Like that was the last thing that happened. And then it kind of stopped after that.
so
Um,
so it was basically just the summer of 2008. Your mom saw that we'll set a timeline. So summer 2008, early summer, your mom saw multiple lights string together that were moving across the sky like in a serpentine fashion.
yeah.
Um, and then she told you guys about the flashing lights on the back side of the house, which seemed to come from nowhere, but were really super bright. And
Yeah.
then you saw them when you took over that room. And you saw them two or three times, two times.
It was like 3 times. The first time I was waking up to it,
Hmm.
turning off, so it kinda just looked like somebody was turning off their high beams,
Okay.
and the other times I experienced, like, the actual flash.
Okay. And that was a flash that seemed to grow in intensity until it came to a point that it was super bright and then it faded out.
It's almost like watching a light bulb, like, intensify its light and then burn out.
Okay. And then you guys saw the green orb doing the circular motion on your way back from the mall, and you said it's St. Paul, right?
Yeah, I was just doing a circle. It was not changing in pattern or, like or how wide it was going. It was just exactly the same, and then it shot straight, not up like a diagonal direction upwards and turned into like a yellow stream.
And what time of day was this? I meant to ask that. What
That
was
was about it was close to dusk. It was like maybe 4 or 5. It's probably like actually like, it's summertime, so it's probably more like 6. But I
okay.
remember it was like getting kind of close to sunset.
So it was dark enough that you would have noticed the difference in light in the sky as compared to like the middle of the day when something like that might have been washed out from the sunlight.
Yeah, I mean, this was like a very intense green too. It wasn't like LED green, but it was like a I don't know, kind of like when you burn copper or like metals like that and the fire's green. It was kind of like that, but didn't look like fire. It was just like a light.
But it had that same sort of intensity.
Yeah, the color definitely did.
And then from there, you guys, the whole town basically of West Concord, heard the rumbling bass of something coming from the sky that eventually sounded like a human heartbeat.
Yeah, it was really weird. That was like probably one of the weirdest things that's ever happened to me because I think I would have much preferred just like a UFO show up over everybody than that because that leaves so many questions unanswered. I don't know what it was. I don't know if it was a UFO. I don't know if it was something else. I don't know if it was a natural phenomenon. There's so many ways to look at that.
Well, and it's funny you bring that up because one thing that I've seen a lot online are like I think they call them sky trumpets, and
I've
basically,
seen the videos of that, yeah.
dude, that is creepy. If I heard that, I don't know, it doesn't matter where I was. If I heard that, that would creep me out hard. Um, but that's kind of what it reminded me of when you told me that it was that loud bassy because it would just in those videos it just seems to come from somewhere up above and you can't put a point, can't put a point to where it's coming from.
Yeah, I
So
mean, there was no difference in the sky either. It's not like the sky looked darker or like, it's not like there was any sign that there was something there. It's just hear it.
wow, dude. So did the sightings? I know you said that was basically your last sighting that you had was the loud bass, but did they continue anymore, or was that kind of like the final thing for the whole town?
Um, so that was basically the final thing. It did leave me paranoid for a while, where, sometimes some things would happen and I would assume it had something to do with that. Like I remember I was walking with my friend at night and we were on the phone and our phone call like got cut off and like the phone had no signal and then his phone like died out of nowhere. My phone didn't die, so maybe he just had a crappy phone. But I was like paranoid because all this stuff was happening. And you
Yeah.
watch like signs or something, they're like be on like our radio and you start hearing like weird alien sounds.
Oh yeah, the weird clicking noises, and then
Yeah, like I was getting paranoid like that. I was like, our phone signal was not good in that town. It was really terrible.
so there's a good
So I
chance
mean,
that
that's
was
what
just the signal dropping.
it is, but there's like a hysteria in the air. There's like a weird. I think my whole family was kind of creeped out for that summer, and it was weird that it kind of just stopped and it never happened again. So it's not like our town's known for that either. I kept thinking to myself though, like, man, this sucks because this is exactly the kind of town this kind of crap would happen in.
Right. Not enough people for anyone else to care except for the people that are there.
Yeah, it's a small town surrounded by cornfields. Of course, this happened here.
Now, I did pull it up on the map and I was trying to see if there were any like large military installations around you guys,
No,
and I couldn't find any. Like I found a whole bunch of like National Guard outposts, but that's not a
we don't.
military
We don't
base.
even have a base. We have some kind of base that is in the capital,
Hmm.
and it's not really much of a base. It's more like it works kind of like a base, but it's more like a place where they can ship people and process people for like National Guard, for
Gotcha.
reserve, stuff like that.
So more like a what's the word? Not a depot,
It's
but
for reserve people. They report there, like once a month or
gotcha. And then they get flown out or shipped out to wherever they need to go
yeah.
for their
We don't have
service.
like a dedicated military base the way that a lot of states do though.
Gotcha. Wow, that's and a lot of times you see a lot of UFO sightings around military installations. So to have it happen in the middle of nowhere, you know, that yeah,
Yeah, we didn't know if like I'm pretty open-minded, like I said. Like I'm not just like immediately open to anything, but like once I can see some kind of like um trail to follow, then I'll open up my mind and I was like, like maybe they're just doing if there's aliens, for example, like maybe they're just doing research. Maybe this is the best place to do research because there'd be like the least amount of meddling and photography. Because another thing about that town is it's mostly very, very old people. Like I would say like maybe 70% of that town was like elderly.
oh wow. So almost like what we have here in Florida, almost like a retirement town, but not
Yeah,
not planned.
it's just people that had been there for a long time since like who knows when. There wasn't that many people like my age or there's like a generation of kids, but there's not that many in comparison to the elderly. So even though the town's 680 people, it looks more like 50 people because most of them are like in their house all day. I
Right.
would see the same people every time I knew them by name. If I didn't know them by name, then I knew them about, their personality or their habits. You can see everything, and nothing's a secret in that town. There's a bar, there's a gas station, there is a post office, and there's a park, and that is it.
Wow. How many streetlights do you have?
None.
Oh wow. So it's that small.
Wait, do you mean like traffic lights, or do you
Yeah,
mean like?
traffic light. Yeah, yeah, not
Yeah,
street lights. Sorry, yeah, traffic light.
we don't have any traffic lights.
Wow.
Zero.
Yeah, so that's one of those blink and you miss it kind of towns.
Well, if you go
So,
on Main Street, you can see the entire town.
man. So
Yeah,
having something like that happen, like, yeah, that would have been a huge story in such a small place like that. So,
yeah. I mean, the whole maybe if I dug deep enough, I might be able to find a story related to that because there's just no way nobody talked about it. I mean, but I don't know. They're like, it's kind of an ignorant town too.
so
Not
they
like,
might have hidden it or just buried it away because they didn't want to bring that sort of focus on the town.
yeah, they're not like deeply, deeply ignorant, but it's also like they would rather call it a natural phenomenon or something spiritual than they would to be like, hey, UFOs or hey, government, anything.
Right. Ball lightning, anything other than to say it's something that they can't put a name to.
Basically, the
Yeah.
town didn't really report on much, anyways. Like, yeah. We were part of a county, and there was like a town that was much larger, like 2,000 people, and they were kind of the center of focus of the news. So you never really saw anything from West Concord. Like, somebody would have to like float up into the sky and explode or something for them to actually talk about anything in that town.
Something big, yeah. I know how that is. I used to work in the news, so I understand their reasoning behind that sort of thing. So, but
Yeah.
so what are your what are your thoughts on what it could have been? Do you think aliens or government, or if you had to pick one, what would you say that you think you guys
Um,
saw over that summer?
the UFO conversations hard to have sometimes. So
Hmm.
personally, I think they're aliens. But as I've gotten older, I've also opened my mind to other possibilities. I don't think it's the government, first of all. Like I know people say, oh, the government might have all these secret, crazy technology and like, vehicles and etc. I don't think it's like that. I don't think we literally have things that turn into beams of light. We're just not there. I don't think we are. You could try to say we are, you could come up with all these conspiracy theories, but I think it's more realistic to believe that in this vast, never ending space that there are other living things. And the other possibility is time travel, believe it or not. I've thought about like, what if UFOs are just people from the future and that's how people like visit
And
or vacation or
right, that's
because of you.
that's the way they travel, like you said. The UFO is their way to come from their time to ours.
Well, if you think about it, if you come from the future, you'd be more interested in seeing things up close or actually going to Earth. But if you're an alien with a technology to move faster than light or whatever they have to do to get here from wherever they're coming from, you could easily just look at the Earth from far away. Like there's no need to actually go on Earth, if you know what
Right.
I mean.
Well, no, yeah, I completely agree. And then also, if you, like you said, if you've got the technology to traverse the stars like that, you figure tapping into human information network would be super easy. So you could literally tap into any electronic device or camera, audio device, anything you wanted to get information on people. I mean, look at how many like zoom, or not zoom cameras, but ring cameras and security cameras that most people have in their houses these days. If you wanted to observe humans, all you gotta do is tap into the internet and hijack one of those.
Yeah, there's just no reason for them to physically come here unless they're lit. I don't. I mean, we can't think of aliens the way we think of ourselves. We might think, oh, maybe they're teenagers having fun, but like we don't know what they think like. We don't know anything about them. They might be
Yeah,
made out of silicon. We don't
yeah,
know. Like
yeah.
we're made from carbon.
Their motivations are completely beyond us because completely different evolutionary scale. We don't know where they're coming from.
So I don't know if it's. I think it could be aliens. I think it could be possibly time travel. I mean, it could be the government, but what's the point? Who cares about West Concord? What would the government gain from looking at West Concord?
Right. And there wasn't like a rash of what is it, cattle mutilations or anything else in the area, right?
No, nothing
So
weird. I mean, I
yeah,
think could be aliens because, why not? That would be the best time to do it. If I was an alien and I wanted to do things or look at the earth or look at people, I would do it in a small town. I don't understand why like all these movies are like in a metropolitan area. Like that would not happen. You can't be secretive in a metropolitan area. If you go to like nowhere town, ghost town, like Oklahoma or Idaho, where there's just cornfields, nobody cares. Nobody believes anything anyone there says.
yeah. I mean, look at Montana. There's like nobody in Montana. I think, oh man, I read a figure once that there's like 25 square miles per person in Montana or something like that. Like you could literally put a person and there'd be no one around them for miles and
Well,
miles and miles. So yeah,
that's
make going
probably
after a
why
small
there's so
town.
many alien sightings or UFO sightings, rather, in like Alaska. Like, what are you gonna do about it? Like, if
Yeah,
you're a UFO or alien, you're wanting to look at stuff in Alaska. There's like no one to see you for miles and miles and miles, and then like if one person sees you, like who cares? But if
exactly.
like millions or hundreds of thousands see you, that's a big deal. So
Yeah. It's like I always have to question those videos I see online of people like in Mexico City, like, hundreds of thousands witness UFO over Mexico City. But then I don't hear any reports saying that people did it. It's just random YouTube videos. So
yeah, I don't know. the whole conversation with aliens gets very weird, especially when you start talking about like Mexico because of the pyramids. But I mean, I'm sure that I'm not trying to like make this whole podcast into another subject, but I mean, I strongly believe that pyramids have something to do with UFOs or aliens or extraterrestrial life just because of the way we were crafting and building structures back then does not fall in line with the way pyramids are made. And pyramids almost look like they're all designed to be seen from above, which is
Yeah.
kind of weird.
Well, and then also the layouts of them too. Almost, I want to say almost all pyramids, South American, Egyptian, um, wherever they're found all over the globe, they almost always have some sort of astronomical correlation. So whether that be like the winter solstice or the summer solstice or specific constellations, like there's always some correlation between how and where they're built to the sky, to the
Yeah,
stars.
now that we can actually go in space and look down on it, it makes sense that they're structured to be seen from above. And if you're literally a little Aztec person back when they were around building the pyramids, there's no way that that crossed your mind.
Yeah, you weren't thinking about what it was going to look like from the sky. Well, maybe you could if you were thinking about it as like a place of worship, like oh, the gods will look down on us and this is what they'll see, but you still don't have any way of really saying for sure that what you've built is going to match what you have in your head. So, I don't know,
Yeah.
man.
My whole point is that I believe in alien life. I don't like to push the idea that there's alien life, but I think it's like asinine to say that there isn't. Whether
No,
or not they had influence on early human life is debatable, who knows? But I know for a fact that there's gotta be. Like it's probably worse if there isn't. If we're just like the one thing here.
yeah, that would be disappointing. No, I agree with you. There is alien life out there. Whether they're using their technology to come to Earth to visit us or not, I don't know. I like you said, I need to see I need to see evidence that I can personally experience. Because all I've had are stories from friends and family, like like you and my mom. And while I believe you guys, I still want to see it with my eyes before I say for sure whether or not something's out there. I want to believe though. I really do.
It wasn't as scary as I thought it would be. I used to have a lot of nightmares where I would see a UFO or something and I would see it like start landing. And I remember like in these dreams, I would like start running up the stairs. And of course, my legs are like made of lead and they're slow. It's like always terrifying. Like if I saw an alien in person, I probably would be frozen in terror, even
Yeah.
if they were being nice. But when I saw the green orb, like it wasn't scary. It was intriguing. Like I felt like I had to look at it. It's crazy. It's like if all of a sudden you're in a thunderstorm and the lightning starts turning like pink or something, you're gonna stare at it. But
Yeah.
it's intriguing. I guess I don't want to become like one of those people that are obsessed with it. I've worked with people that literally will be like obsessed with UFOs.
Hmm.
Like downright their life is dedicated to it. Like you get home and they're probably got like a wall of cassette tapes and all kinds of stuff. I've known people like that. I don't want to be like that, but I do think it's intriguing and I do think it's fun to like look into it and hear stories and know about it.
Absolutely. Well, that's why I started this, man. I've always been intrigued by it, especially growing up hearing my mom's story. So I want to get as many experiences recorded and put them out there and let people know, hey, not just famous people and not just random people you've never met, but your friends, your family, your neighbors. They've all had well, not all of them, but most of them have had experiences. It's just, sitting down with them and getting them to talk about it.
Yeah. What I would like to have, similar to you, where you kind of want to experience something before you want to, because people say it's real, but then you're like, that's not real.
Right.
Like for me, this isn't, maybe you'll think I'm like ignorant or something, but I don't really believe in ghosts. I hear so many stories and videos and movies and films and like culture around ghosts. And I would love, I mean, I don't want a ghost experience, but I would also love one just because it would kind of like open up my mind to possibilities. But because That's never happened. And I've been in places that are quote unquote haunted and had zero experiences. I feel like I right now I don't believe in it. Like I would have to see something pretty incriminating or crazy to think, yeah, this is something I can believe in now.
But if you then had that experience, you'd be more apt to believe and say, okay, something's
Yeah, no.
weird, something's going on.
I mean, I'm that kind of person. I'm open-minded, but I need the first clue, the first thing to take me on the trail. I'm not going to just go
That,
on that trip with you unless, there's something there for me or
no,
I
that
guess
makes
proof.
no, that makes absolute sense. And that's kind of where I'm at too. Like I have interviewed a couple of my friends that are ghost hunters and they've all offered to let me come out and go with them. So the next time I'm in town, back in Panama City, I'm definitely going to try to go out there because I want to have an experience so that I can say, at least for myself, that yes, this is what happened and this is true. So I'm the
Well,
same
I
way
would
with
just
UFOs. I'd love to see something. I don't want a little gray man to come into my room, but if I could see something off in the skyline at some point, I don't think I'd be mad about that.
Oh God, have you seen that movie with what's that movie called? It's an alien movie. It's got the guy from it has Christopher Walken in it.
Alien movie with Christopher Walken. Um
I think it's Communion or something like that. It's like based off a book, but that movie's scary. It's like old 70s movie, so it doesn't look scary, but it is scary. It's like a dude's experiences in a log cabin. And the aliens, instead of just being UFOs in the sky, they're like literally showing up in his room and like watching him and like peeping their head out and like stalking him for like
dude, no, I it sounds familiar. Like I've got flashes in my head that seem to correspond to what you're saying. I'm gonna have to look it up now though, because I love me some Christopher Walken and I love some like horror movie slash UFO alien stuff. So
it's pretty dated, so they don't look scary. And then the ending kind of like ties it together in a way that makes you feel like you didn't just watch a horror movie, even though they terrorized you for the entire movie.
uh-huh.
It's a good movie. I mean, there's a book. I think the book is, supposedly best based off true stories, but everyone says that.
Gotcha. Cool, man. Well, again, I think it's about time to wrap it up, but I did want to say thank you very much for coming on the show and sharing your experience, man.
Oh, no problem. I mean, I love doing this kind of stuff. I think it's fun to talk about it and a setting where it's like people are more open to it.
Yeah.
And I like talking. This isn't my first time doing like something like this.
Well, hopefully, if you have another experience or something, man, I'd love to have you come back on and talk about it. Maybe you'll get a ghost or something that doesn't creep you out too bad.
Yeah. I'm not looking for it, but if it happens, I'll let you know.
Perfect. All right, man. Well, again, guys, this has been basically a family member of mine, a cousin, Jacob, talking about his UFO experiences. So, again, man, thank you very much.
Thanks for having me on.
All right. All right, guys. So, for Tales from the Dark Roast, I'm Mortimer James. And again, just remember, keep your coffee mugs full and your stories dark because I want to hear them.